In part 2, Prince described in 1979 how he survived the rescue of enhanced cyber children as they were in convoy from the Canadian Nelson base, and then being taken to Toronto, where MI6 took charge. On active service in 2007, at a location near the Elephant and Castle area in London, he described assassinating an enhanced soldier who had stolen a suitcased nuclear bomb, or Pearl, and shooting him 7 times in the head with his 9mm Smith & Wesson pistol to destroy the cyber enhancements in the victim's skull. He described how this was done using a strange small cube of ET or ancient origin which was able to control the victim. So for more claims and details, back to Michael Prince in the Bases 9 interview 2011.
What about? That was on the island of Penang in Malaysia. There's a NSA facility on the island there. It's a looking glass facility.
What's a looking glass facility?
They use looking glass technology there. Piece of hardware.
Project Looking Glass remote viewing thing, or?
It's a piece of hardware, looking glass. It looks, I got a photograph of it.
Is it a set of glass structures, or why is it?
It's almost like a gold-coloured metallic cannon with coils on the back of it, and they run mercury through the coils, and it opens up portals. They can look into different timelines with it on a video screen.
Is it human-derived technology, or?
I don't think so. No, I'd say it's alien-derived. I'm not 100% sure.
Right.
I'm not 100% sure where it comes from. But this particular event would I was taken there by my carer, who I was delivered into her care from Toronto and taken back to London in '81.
A mother figure, like a carer?
This was the woman, I mentioned her name on the interview of Richard last night. Kate Casbolt.
Kate Casbolt,
Yeah.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
Which is where you get your persona, James Casbolt?
Yeah, not my biological mother.
Yeah.
We've discussed this,
Yeah.
Kate and I. There's connections with MI6 with her, definitely.
So she's essentially there to keep you happy and healthy and in a sort of a normal way?
Yeah, kind of. It was complicated because there was...
Like a foster mother, or?
Yeah, but then her husband before '81, Peter Casbolt, he was the MI6 agent who was involved in the drug trafficking operations. I've seen some of his file data from MI6.
And he's the guy who got killed, is that right?
He died in Doncaster prison in 2003. He was serving 6 months for possession of false passports.
And this was in conjunction with his function as in MI6, but why did they let it go through, or was it? Was he operating freelance, so to speak?
He would sometimes operate freelance. He'd take drugs from the shipments to sell on the side, and it isn't a drug.
So he extended his brief?
Yeah.
And they didn't like that?
Yeah. And there was also, I don't know, that's the reason why he died. There's something going on that I need
was
to
he
get
bumped
to
off
the
in
bottom
prison
of.
because people knew he was an agent?
I'm pretty sure he was bumped off. He was, his file data talks about him being involved in remote viewing programs for the NSA, a program called Albrighton Clear.
Albright?
Albrighton, because it was based in Hove and Brighton.
All right.
And there was an NSA remote viewing program run from Brighton. Albrighton Clear it was called. And I was given his identification number for that program. So he is MI6. The guy who raised me for a few years in Berkshire and Reading, Neil Pettit, he was never married to Kate Casbolt. They were never married, but they were together for a number.
What's his name again?
Neil Pettit. He worked just near Peasmore, Hermitage in Newbury.
Yeah.
He was a director of an aluminium company there, a big major company. It was a warehouse called Hymets. It's called Service Metals now. And he had defence contracts with the MOD. He worked underground at RAF Welford.
Can you describe more about Welford? Is it just there for nuclear weapons storage, or
I'm not too sure about Welford. I know he worked under there. He worked underground at Boscombe Down too, and there was some sinister aspects of the company. There was some kind of child pornography trade, video trade going on within the company.
Is that connected with the ritual child abuse, trauma-induced mark program?
I'd say that it's connected with the underground facilities. I remember when I was a kid in Reading in Berkshire, I found some videos underneath his dresser, and it showed, I put it on, it showed a group of men in a Masonic hall dressed in Egyptian robes, and they were sexually abusing little girls. On that particular video, it was a child pornography thing. Because I was being sexually abused by Neil regularly. He was multi-generational incest. His stepfather had come out of a Japanese concentration camp at the end of World War II, and when his name was Jim Murch. Now, when he came back to Berkshire, he started to straight away sexually abuse Neil and his sister, and there was satanic ritual elements of it where he'd kill the animals in front of them. I remember Neil always, because Neil was an alcoholic as well because of all this, and he used to get drunk and sit me down, to always tell me the same stories when he was drunk. He used to always tell me about how when Jim took him and his sister out into the garden and killed the rabbits in front of them, killed the pet rabbits in front of them, cut their throats. And he used to say to me, do you know what a paedophile is? And I was young and unsure, and he said, if I saw you in the pub and you told me you were a paedophile, I'd punch you straight in the face. He used to say things like that. But then when he used to get drunk, he'd go into blackout, then he'd come in my room and start sexually abusing me. And I think it was a kind of valence, whereas he was acting out what was done to him in a really drunken state. And I've been interviewed by CID in Cornwall about this, about the sexual abuse with Neil. It's on record. He lives in Australia, in New Zealand, and when I saw him a few years back, he says, I got this old German guy who lives next door to me, and I think he's a Nazi on the run. And we've got really close. He comes round all the time. He pretends he's senile. He's not. So this whole Nazi...
Then actually pretends he's senile?
Yeah.
But is he working for the Nazis still?
Well, it's just no coincidence. He's got an old Nazi next door to him who pretends to be senile, but he's not.
Yeah.
Okay, just before I say that, I'd like to say I'm not biologically related to either of the families I just mentioned, the Casbolt or the Pettits. I was taken to Malaysia by Kate Casbolt, the island of Penang, and straight away remember being walking along a little road in the jungle there. There's a picture of me in the jungle at the time holding a snake in front of the temple. That was put on Project Avalon. And I just remember we were taken off the road by an army jeep and driven down a windy road in the jungle to a facility, fence facility, went in and separated from Kate Casbolt. Taken underground in a lift, and there was kind of some command centre there, just a series of computer operators in their desks, and taken by an American military officer and shown video footage. I think it was some kind of satellite video footage, and I'd honed him something to do with remote viewers too. and it showed a alien creature in the jungle, a type of bipedal wolf, almost like a small Bigfoot, but wearing almost a brown robe with a belt around it, with some kind of hardware around the belt, and it was a still camera shot. Well, I personally think it was taken through the eyes of a remote viewer, and they were connected to satellite. I think it was a camera shot through their eyes.
So you can directly photograph and record what people see, either through by telepathically remote viewing in, or by an implant, or
by an implant. It's all very physical, and I think that this was what the remote viewer saw just before he died, because this creature, as far as I know, killed that remote viewer, and that was the last thing he saw.
How did they kill a remote viewer?
I think he shot him with some kind of particle beam weapon, because I saw these creatures operate those.
So I mean, the remote viewer is physically not where the being was.
No, he's physically tracking the being through the jungle, and he's I think he's seen him from a distance, but when I say remote viewing, he's like a camera, he's zoomed into him
Using
from a long distance, using his physical vision, but using his remote viewing abilities to zoom in.
Right.
And
so when the other being shot him, did he shoot his presence as a remote viewer? Did he see like an orb or something? How does he see something?
No, he's physically there. The soldier's physically in the jungle, tracking this creature through the jungle, but the creature's at a distance far away. So the soldier has zoomed in with his vision, which is a type of remote viewing, but it's more physical because it's connected to satellite.
But then how's he shot if he's so far away?
Because the creature on the still shot that I was showing on the screen, the creature's turned around like that and has looked. So, from my understanding, the creature had seen him and then, like a sniper, shot him from long range with these particle beam devices that they use. So I was shown that, and I was the creature growled at the same time, and that was picked up, the sound. And below the still shot, there was a sound wave of the growl. And the military officers used the word gruff. I'm not exactly sure what that meant.
A gruff?
Gruff, just gruff.
G-R-U-F-F.
Gruff. And they played the sound wave to me under the screen, which was the growl. And they played it to me once, and then they said, focus on it. And then they played it to me again. They played it about 3 or 4 times, and each time was picking up the energy signature of the creature.
What do you mean by the energy signature of the creature?
A lot of it was to do with scent. I was
Yeah.
picking up its scent, but by hearing it, I could smell it.
So that would help you track it?
Yeah, and this is where it comes into the conditioning we went through with the animals back in Canada.
So then, bring us to where the event happened.
So I was taken out again above ground, put in there was a 2 Jeep convoy, soldiers in it, there was a woman in the front, and we were driven through the jungle it was like a path in the jungle basically, and we got out and we trekked through the jungle for hours. I mean, I was only a little kid, and after a couple of hours we stopped for a rest in this clearing in the jungle. It was almost like the pathway was turned into almost a crossroads, like one path coming this way, one path there, like a crossroads. And we'd just stopped to have a drink and have a rest, and I'd picked something up in the trees, and
What do you mean by picked it up? Sensed it?
I smelt it, but it's more than just smell. It's like you can see smells. I picked something up in the trees, and I looked up and I saw it in the tree. We were supposed to be tracking it, but it had been following us.
It already knew you were coming?
Yeah, and it was there, it was in the tree. And I shouted up to one of the soldiers, I said, it's up there. And this is where the the abilities of these soldiers comes in. This was the first time I saw the abilities of them, and this was later I would have the same abilities. The moment I saw it and it knew that I'd seen it, it kind of went upright like that, and it shot some beam out towards me. It was almost like it made the air like swish, like a rotation like that. I just felt the swish, like this rotation sort of coming towards me. But it was like metallic, but it glowed.
The air?
No, the thing that it shot, this particle beam or whatever it was. You could feel, it was so powerful, you could feel the air moving to come towards you, and it was swiveling as it came through. But it was so fast, but my senses picked it up, and just before it hit me, one of the soldiers somehow projected some force field around my body. And
so this is a relatively slow...
No, it's very fast. This happened all in a split second. I'm not sure. It's almost like time slows down. And it all happened in a split second, but the soldier was able to project a force field around my body before it hit me.
So he'd already projected this to you?
Yeah.
As soon as you said where it was?
As soon as I clocked him, bang, he shot, he fired in the tree.
So this is a protection mechanism?
The soldier projected a force field around like an egg. It was almost like water. And then boom, it didn't hurt me at all. Didn't even. And then it all happened so fast, and then I seen another soldier. He's up in the. We were standing here, and he's up in the tree here on the left hand side. Seen another soldier, like in a split second, he's there. He's like a cat. He's run to the tree, and he's scaled up the tree. He's run up the tree like a cat.
Yeah.
Like an animal. He's actually run up this big high tree. And
is this like a palm tree or some kind of leafy tree or with lots of branches? Or...
It had quite a thick trunk, enough, it was bigger than his body, maybe 1.5, twice the size of his body. And he's standing there. It wasn't the soldier that projected the force field, it was a different one standing behind him, and he's there. He's in a split second like a cat, he's at the base of the tree. And like I say, then he's running up the tree, scaling up the tree like a cat. And he gets to the top of the tree, and he's like perched on top of the tree in the branch. He's perched like a bird or something, like squatted on the branch. Like looking up, and his back is like expanded outwards. He's almost like pulled energy up, like from his center, and he's like boom, and his back's boom popped out.
What popped out?
His back, the muscles in his back have popped out. Yeah. Like bulging out of his top. Like, and he's perched in the tree, and this thing has either jumped from this tree to the next tree, or he's some sort of teleportated to the next tree, to the next branch.
He's gone woof, just.
Yeah, but it's like he launched himself. But then you don't see him flying through the air. He sort of launched himself off the branch, and then he's like, poof, he appeared. He does the same thing. He chases him into the next tree. He like sort of launches himself off the branch. But again, he's sort of teleportation. He just appears in the next tree, and then the creature's like boom to the next tree. They're chasing each other through the trees. The creature and this soldier. I mean, it's amazing to watch. And after a while, they obviously disappeared. You can't see them anymore. And one of the operators had a type of laptop computer, and he wanted. This was like really. He got it quickly next to me, and he wanted me to tune in. I shut my eyes, and I could see a screen in my mind's eye, and I could see the creature's a red dot on the screen moving forward.
So is he following the creature, or is he following his compatriot following the creature?
The guy in the tree is chasing the creature through the tree.
But is the red dot the actual creature?
The red dot is the creature. This is some kind of satellite remote viewing thing, link up. And the what the red dot in my mind's eye is like a map. Is the creature moving in a certain direction, and the soldier following him is a green dot, following him in the same direction. And on the screen, on the laptop with the soldier next to me, what I'm seeing, the picture, the map, is on the screen. So he's tracking it and he's reporting back to the base.
Were there more red dots?
Yeah, well, this is it. The other soldiers that were with us started running after them on the ground with their guns. They didn't have the ability to do all this tree climbing thing. They run through, and I saw them as a series of green dots as well, following behind the first soldier, not as fast.
In other words, he had backup.
Yeah, they were going through, and then I saw another dot moving in, a bigger one.
A red dot or a green dot?
I think this was a purple dot, a bigger one. And I said to the operator next to me, I said, he's calling in his ship. So he's calling in his ship. And
in other words, one of ours.
No, the creature was calling in his ship to escape because he was being pursued. And then the operator got on the radio and said something about air support, calling in air support. Must have only been maybe 30 seconds or a minute later, two huge TR-3 type of aircraft, black triangles, come really low over the trees. The whole ground was like rumbling. Come really low over the trees. I saw there, I could physically see them over the trees. They followed the direction of the firefight, and then after they disappeared from view. And then I heard some kind of missiles being fired. I heard
weapons fired?
Weapons being fired, but air weapons. And the ground was rumbling when these missiles were being fired. And then that was it. It disappeared. And then the soldiers eventually came back. And they said he's got away. The creature had got away.
He got to his
ship and got away, and that caused us major problems.
What's the reason of it?
Because this creature was involved in our lives when we were adults. Isn't no coincidence. We were connected to this creature. This creature turned up at Peasmore. This creature turned up at other bases. And
is that the kind of creature that Barry King described?
Now this was a wolf. This was a bipedal wolf, like a small Bigfoot. With a kind of type of brown robe.
You're not talking about something very tall then?
Yeah, tall, like a man, but like a wolf, like a Bigfoot.
Yeah.
6 foot, something like that. And he was very similar to the flying humanoids, the footage you see in South America. It was kind of similar to that. I think they're creatures, I've heard the name creatures from the Canis Empire being bandied around. I think they're extraterrestrials from Sirius.
I've never heard of them before.
Nobody's ever talked about them before.
They're on YouTube.
But nobody said they're sort of bipedal wolf people from Sirius, Canis Empire. But it's just when I saw the footage on YouTube, the flying humanoids, it was similar to what I saw in the jungle in Penang. And
that was an unsuccessful mission then.
Yeah.
But that was how long was that in the planning? What happened that this creature was detected?
Apparently the creature had come into the area. There was some military conflict going on in Malaysia at the time. The SAS, the SAS.
Is that because those creatures are used to train more of the enhanced super soldier type children by the SS?
This creature had come in to it was somehow learning about human emotions. It was learning from the conflict of the soldiers killing each other in the area. There was something to do. There was some military conflict between the SAS on the border of Malaysia and Thailand at the time. And
so this is a conflict that we could look up?
Yeah, it was an official conflict, an official war. And the creature had come in, it was learning about the human emotions, it was studying the conflict, and it was almost feeding, when the soldiers were killing each other in the jungle, it was almost feeding off their energy, almost in a sexual way, feeding off the death and the fear and the hate. So it was very nasty.
So creature. Then that would be useful for reprogramming or programming more super soldiers or more enhanced soldiers?
Well, the creature turned up at Peasmore and was used in the programming.
So it turned up at Peasmore before or after?
This was years later.
Yeah. Oh, years later?
This years later, yeah. It came back to the planet. I mean, it might never have left the planet.
So why were we trying to pursue it, to kill it? Or were we trying to kill it? Were you trying to kill it?
I think they were trying to kill it.
But then why would it then come back in and say hello?
Because it obviously escaped, and then it had its human collaborators, which were probably these factions that we've talked about that haven't got the human race best interest at heart.